Okay, good morning, everybody. So my name is Pierre-Louis Gingembre. I'm a technical marketing engineer at Illumio. And so before diving into any demo, anything, I just want to do some couple of words and introduce what we're going to do. So first, I'd like to really thank you all the companies that went before and talking about microsegmentation, doing all these beautiful slides, so that we don't have to do that pitch right now. We can really focus on the demo. And the second point is that I really want to apologize. Nothing's going to explode today for those who are really Mythbusters fans. I'm sorry. So we've been instructed that nothing should explode during this session. So yeah, that's a confirmation. So we can't do whatever we wanted to do, but we're trying to keep everything on the slide or on the screen right now. So second myth, because well, the first one was really focus on how to decouple network and security. The second one, we're going to talk more about something that is, I'm sure, extremely interesting for most of you. Let's talk about those agents, right? And the main myth is that, doing security segmentation with a host-based solution, it's literally impossible, right? I can't do microsegmentation with host-based solution. Okay, and there are let me actually explain the couple of reasons why this myth exists. So, first of all, what people say about host-based solutions is going to take forever to deploy these agents on my workloads. Okay. A second point is usually people, when they think about installing an agent on their workload, they're saying it's going to be disruptive to my existing environment. And one of the last points, which is probably the most interesting for you today, is that it's completely inherently insecure to have those agents running on the workloads that I'm trying to protect. Okay? So let me actually do one thing. We're going to take them one by one. We're going to see what we can do with Illumio. And let's see at the end if we confirm the myth or if we busted it. Okay? So, Harish, are you ready to handle all of this?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, very good. So everything.
Guy escape.
Everything is again, one disclaimer. Everything is live. It's running on the mobile cellular network right now. So hopefully everything goes through perfectly during the demo. Okay. First piece of the myth is that it's going to take forever to deploy those agents on my workload. Okay. So what we're going to do, and to show you what we can do with Illumio, we're going to spin up 100 workloads in AWS right now in a brand new location because we just hired a bunch of developers in Asia. And so we want to make sure that these guys, they have a comfortable environment to develop their new shiny mobile app. And so we're going to spin up those 100 workloads in AWS in the next minutes. Okay. So are you ready to launch everything?
Let's do it.
Okay. So if you think about the way you can actually take 100 new workloads and deploy this agent on those workloads. There are many ways to tackle this, of course. You can start with a golden image with the agent already installed on the golden image. And whenever you're cloning that template or golden image, the software is going to be running and you're going to activate or you're going to negotiate your pairing mechanism with the central brain, the PCE, okay? But we know that nowadays there are many organizations that rely on automation scripts. And so what we're going to do here is that we're going to use whatever Ansible script in the backend to actually spin up those 100 VMs and run the installation of the agent and pair those 100 workloads with the PC now. So we can see on the map, that we had like this new location in Singapore with a couple of workloads showing up. While it's running in the background, let me actually introduce what we're doing in the background because it sounds like, okay, we're going to have those 100 workloads, magical. It's appearing on my map, beautiful. So to pair the workloads, so I'm running my agent, we need what we call an activation code, okay, or a pairing key. And that pairing key doesn't come from nowhere. We don't invent that, or we're not like defining the pairing key once when we install the central brain and we never come back to it. That's not a secure way to do this. So we create what we call a profile. So a profile, and Harish can drill into one of these profiles. It's actually a set of parameters that we define and that we're going to assign to the workload when it's requesting the pairing with the PC, okay? A couple of things that we're doing. we're defining the software version, the state of the policy. So if you remember, it's build, test, and enforced. Build, I get visibility only. All the flows are going in and out of my workload, I'll get visibility on this. Test is, okay, I have visibility, I have defined a couple of things in my policy, but I'm not 100% sure that everything is gonna go well if I'm doing this. So I still have a permit, any log at the end of my policy. Again, it's a whitelist model in our case. Enforced is, okay, I'm 100% sure this will never break anything in my application. I can move it to enforced mode. Okay, and we're also assigning the labels. So basically, location, environment, application, and role. Okay, so once you define this set of parameters, okay, you can generate the so-called pairing key. Okay, so Harish is going to click on the generate button for this, and we're going to see the key. Okay, all right. So the key that you can see here, it's actually a very long string with a bunch of characters. Because probably that the worst thing that you could do if you want to pair your workload in a secure way would be to rely on a very weak thing, like you can crack it in 30 minutes. Like
wait, hold on a second. Sorry, I interrupted. I'm not like really a bad guy,
do we
but
have the mic on?
Give him the handheld mic.
Okay, very good.
all right. So like,
Sorry.
Key- like not every-
Is that a game we're doing? Like you're interrupting me instead of in the middle of the presentation?
yeah, but
right.
it's okay. So like, not every organization has like good key management, and like this could easily be broken or cracked. Like, how long would it take to crack open this key?
All right. So actually, it's another myth. Okay. This key is like weak. I can crack it anytime. Okay. So Harish, can you do one thing?
Yeah.
You're going to go to how secure is my password, okay? And let's pull up that key and see how long we need to crack that key, okay? Because one thing, and there's one huge myth about this, the activation profile should be built into the software with some sort of ML or AI or stuff like this. And so we do think that, this is a process that should be extremely secure. So the default thing that we're offering is really this pairing key, but if you're really keen on securing more of this, you can use Kerberos tokens or even certificates if you want to use your own PKI to do this. So by default, our pairing key is actually, don't even ask me to pronounce that name, okay? I don't even know in English, I don't know in my native language, so the way I can pronounce it. Okay. But it's just tell you about how we feel about securing the process of this activation. I don't want a ROG server popping up in the middle of my most critical database because I have one key defined company-wide, and I'm going to have someone just use that pairing key and pair a workload in the middle of the most secure environment that I have. That's not something that we want, okay? So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just using OS Foundation best practices for key management, and this is how we end up with that very long string with a combination of a key ID, a secret that is never stored in clear text on the PC, and you cannot recreate it. Meaning that if I generate the key, there's no way that I can find that key again and again on the PC. It's not stored anywhere. And by the way, if you come back to the key, Harish, is it big enough for everybody, or just want to make sure that?
I would love a zoom in a bit.
Zoom in.
Of course. Just. All right. So.
Gorgeous.
Is that to copy the key? Because there's one thing. So, that's actually a good question. So if you want to copy the key, the fact that we're already pairing workloads, it's only limited for one usage. So if the workload is already paired with it, good luck to crack this. Okay. By the way, it's only valid for 2 hours because we knew that you guys are going to copy some stuff and try to pair your own stuff. So it's not valid for longer than that.
Ethical hacker.
Sure. That's the only thing that our customers see. Only ethical hackers. So that's why the team is building such great products, because we only have ethical people in the room.
Who actually tell you when they're going to hack you?
Yep.
Sorry.
They schedule those hacks in advance.
Oh,
That's you.
thank you. So back to that key, and as we know that it's complicated to do the copy paste or whatever screenshot. Okay, we actually make sure that the process is easy. We provide you what we call a pairing script. Okay, and that pairing script is actually the easy way to do it. You have automation scripts, you have Puppet, Chef, Salt, Ansible, whatever you like. Okay, you insert that line. It's a one line. what the script is going to do, download the software, install the software, and run that activation process using that so-called key. Again, we have like really many customers that are using that process, and as they don't like the fact that you can have like one key, every time they pair a workload with the PC, they regenerate the key. So there's a one-time key that is used for every single workload that they pair. And they can obviously do that at scale because it's just a new API call. Okay? So are we done with the 100 workloads?
Take a look.
Okay, can we go back to the map? So we're going to go back to the map. And I think the Ansible script is ready. There you go. Can you zoom in into Singapore? Beautiful. So we have in Singapore now our 100 workloads created into the map. And we have a couple of applications because we know that these guys, they want to have a comfortable environment to develop their new stuff. And so we have 100 workloads. It took us like probably less than 10 minutes to spin up those 100 workloads, pair them with the PC, download their policies. Okay? So is there any question before I move on to the next thing? No? So far, so good. Beautiful. Second piece of our myth. Okay? The second is that it's going to be extremely disruptive to my environment. Okay. And we understand the pain of these customers, like they're having like security concerns, and they have existing and running environments and applications. And that's actually what we're doing right now. So because we're really demo focused, what we did is that we have running applications. And so we have a web application that you can pull up even in your web browser. It's just a dummy website, but the architecture, the 3-tier application behind that is pretty complex, so it would look like any other application. But to be more demo style, we just created a website for you. You can visit it, it's web online, so if you want to have some fun, you can definitely do it. If you want to get your t-shirt, actually, that's something you could do. So the point is, we're going to bring up this application, and Harish is going to launch another automation script in the backend to show you, okay, I have my existing application. Is that big enough for everybody here? Once again, beautiful. Okay, so the script is going to be launched in the backend, and what you're going to see actually is that we're doing exactly the same thing. I have a running application. It's a multi-tier application, and we're going to see the new workloads coming up into our map in our Paris location. Okay, don't ask me why they selected or they picked Paris. I don't have any clue. Okay, so right now we have 22 groups, meaning 22 different applications running in our Paris location, and we have roughly 400 different workloads. So we're going to see that application popping up in our environment. There you go. We have now 23. So we have this new application coming up with a couple of workloads. And you're going to see that it's not like a one-node WordPress application that I'm running with all the stack running on the same thing. No, it's really a multi-tier application with load balancers, a couple of web servers, a couple of database servers, so that we can host like many websites. And so let me actually tell you how, for example, many of our customers are doing this, okay? When you bring your own application into an existing security solution like this, and I'm going to install that agent on it, like agent on it, right? What's going to happen is that those people are really scared of any instability, intrusive part of that agent. So what they do is that usually they install this agent, and many of our customers are staying in build mode for quite some time, right? They start with build mode, and so they get visibility on all the flows running inside the application. Okay, so that's what we're showing here. If you pull up the application, and as it's running live, once we have all the workloads within the application showing up on the map, what we're going to do, we're going to actually reduce the refresh timer, because you had this question about, you know, how long it takes to get the update. It's a live map. But as we're built for scale, we can't have like every microsecond something that is popping from every single workload showing the flows. So we're going to need to increase actually the rate to get a refresh on the flows. So can you drill down into one of the workload here, Harish, so that we can really show, okay, let's pop up the web application. So you can see the bunch of process as Jason showed earlier. It's part of the web tier here. It's a WordPress application development in Paris, and it's showing all these things. So when our customers are building their own application, bringing them to the PC, okay, the security administrator could say, you know what, I don't know anything about this application, so I'm going to just ring fence that applications because I don't want anybody to talk to this application, and I want to secure the flows. So blindly, if I'm moving this to enforce mode, what Harish is going to do right now is that, what do you expect? If I'm moving that application into enforce mode, remember, there are red arrows, there's no policy defined, what's going to happen? It's going to break the application. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to move it to enforce mode, okay, which is probably the worst thing that you could do, right? It's definitely not a best practice. This is not what we recommend. But this is just showing you, like, if you're bringing your application and you're blindly trying to secure everything because you just want to make sure that nothing comes in, nothing gets out, this is what you're going to get. So if we refresh the website at that point, there you go. You're going to have like a problem on the website. Someone messed up with my application. That's exactly what happened. Okay? So someone is going to complain to me or to Harish saying, oh man, someone did mess up with my application. You go backward, you say, okay, I'm going to go back to build mode. Okay? Again, this is not what we recommend. This is just showing you it's transparent, it's live, everything is going through the internet right now. Okay, we're back to build. It's going to take probably a couple of seconds while we're resynchronizing the database. Yes?
Is there a way to actually just back out the last change instead of saying going between bed?
Absolutely.
And I would rather say, hey,
yes,
back it out.
Absolutely. So whenever you provision a change, you have an historical view of all the changes, and you can revert back to the last change you did.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And plus, I mean, as Jason mentioned in the last demo, you also have the option to say, if I'm a rule set provisioner, I can be the only guy in the workflow to validate that policy so that someone messing up with its own application, I can still have another level of control before applying that policy.
So another question on the deployment of the then and the pairing, do you actually have an Ansible playbook already written for that?
Yes.
That I can just use?
As
part of my own existing.
So do we have
Ansible
playbook? Yes. There you go. So you have really different ways in this case. So we have playbooks in this case that we can provide you, Ansible modules, or you can also run the script as one single command in your script.
Okay.
So it's really up to you. It's up to the org. By the way, that's something that we hate at Illumio. We're not trying to educate our customers in the way they should build their workflow. We're really adapting to it. That's really a mentality within the company. It's really something that the product is built that way. So, okay, go back to this application. What we want to do, and that's really now the recommended process that Illumio would recommend, okay? You spend some time in build mode, so you know exactly which flows are going in and out of your application, and you know exactly what you want to define, okay? You might want to move into test mode, or you might want to move into enforce mode. So we're going to move this back to enforce mode, but we got just a phone call from one of our compliance guy in the company saying, you know what, we'll have some data confidentiality on that application platform, so you'd better enable encryption because we don't want anything to be in clear text when communications happen between the web database and load balancers. So Harish is going to define this policy for that application straight from the map. We're just going to add a rule for that application. In one single click, we're going to use Secure Connect. Secure Connect is really, think about it, end-to-end encryption using Ipsec between every single workload. Okay. One single click is going to save the policy, and we're going to have full encryption between every single workload running in this application. Okay. So now you can provision the change. So now that the change is going to be provisioned, we're going to see what's happening within the application. If I'm going back to my website, are we in enforce mode?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So
Okay, let's
is
move.
this doing IPsec on the Windows firewall, or are you setting up IPsec on Linux?
Both.
Which IPsec are you using on Linux?
On Linux?
Yeah, which one? There's multiples. Free Swan, Open Swan.
Yeah.
this
Strong Swan.
It's
Strong Swan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Strong Swan.
So you guys install that, or you
Yeah, we'll
all the packages I need?
Yeah, we'll bring it if you don't have it. So we'll do the install if you don't have it. If you already have it installed, we'll just use what's there.
Okay.
And then it's transport mode IPsec. So it's literally host to host.
Yeah.
It's definitely
If you have certificates dropped on those hosts, it'll be certificate based IPsec, and we'll use the highest IKE supported by the operating system, with the strongest encryption supported by the operating system. So you don't have to worry about configuring that. If you've ever tried to do transport mode IPsec, it's a little bit of a difficult job. So once again, philosophically, if you were to do the Vulkan mind meld with Illumio, you're going to use what's already inside of the host. So we're going to use IP tables because that's what the community supports. We're going to use the Windows filtering platform because that's what the community supports. And in the case of IPsec, what Pierre is talking about, we're going to use the native IPsec capabilities in Windows, and we're going to use what's in the Linux kernel to take care of it. Okay.
So how would I specify where to get my PKI from inside of Illumio, so that you guys get the right?
We are not a CA. We were going to ask you to bring your own.
No. I want to know how I specify which CA or which tool to go to. So I don't want Strong Swan or whatever. I want it to use certs. I want it to use my certs.
Yeah, we'll configure Strong Swan to use the certs that you put into the host. So we'll configure Strong Swan use certificate
I don't want
based.
to put any certs on it. I want it to be I'm going to turn on IPsec, I may not have Strong Swan installed.
Okay.
You guys if you're going through and installing it for me, I should be able to tell you where to pick up the PKI certs as well.
Oh, so we do not do that. You would have to install the certificate on that host. We are not going to say to do it for you.
So if I have
far
that
as I
for a
understand,
large number of hosts, that would be rather painful.
Yes, that is the customers that use this tend to have their own. They actually do a lot of that work themselves. Like one of the things that we didn't talk about that I mentioned on the Twitter feed is that you can actually not even use our parent key. Some customers use Kerberos tickets to authenticate hosts. Some people use certificates to authenticate the host. So if you're already using those types of technologies, you want to do certificate-based IPsec, we would use this whatever the local machine identity for that host to do the IPsec.
Would you warn us if the wrong things aren't there? Because setting up IPsec without certs is probably silly at best.
So if you're configuring that, and you'll actually watch, we're about to do a debug on IPsec in just a moment in the demo, you would actually get that type of feedback out.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And can that go to an alerting log that I can then raise up to the SOC, or would it go through?
So
Okay,
all those events will go to the wherever you've configured alerts.
Thank you.
Okay, so quickly what we're going to do, we're going to show you now that we have enabled this policy. First, the website still works, so you can still browse and have some fun with that xfd2 illumiodemo.com. And the second is that if we're looking at what's going on the workloads right now, what we can see on the workloads right now is that if you enable, for example, a TCP dump, you're going to see only the ESP header in the communication in between the workloads, right? So that means that everything that is going on and in and out of the different workloads is fully encrypted in the data plane. Okay? Is there any questions before I move on to the next one? No? So far, so good. Okay, so I have one point that I really want to emphasize right here. And it's about the fact that we're reusing components here, and the fact why we are feeling so comfortable if you bring your own application into the PC. So I know that there are many companies, or some companies are doing micro-segmentation using agents. Some companies are doing the infrastructure to do this. One point that we really want to emphasize here is that our agent really sits in the user space. There's nothing in the kernel. We're not modifying anything in the kernel. And there's a very good reason behind that. So there's no in-between or user space or kernel space or something in the kernel using some whatever language. No. Everything is in user space, and we're doing everything from the user space. We don't modify the kernel. And do you guys know exactly what a tainted kernel is? Beautiful. So if you don't know it, just go to your Linux engineering team, ask them, if I taint the kernel, are you going to be okay with that if we upgrade from One OS, or if you're moving this into our Oracle database? Just ask them. You're going to see the reaction. It's awesome. So one thing that you can do to verify this, just run one single command. If you have something that is different from 0, 0 means 0 problem. It's like, it's not your grades when you're at school. It's 0 means 0 problem. If you have something that is different from 0, just go to your Linux engineering team, ask them if everything is fine, right? I'm sure you're going to have some intense discussions with those guys. Okay, so that covers really the part of, can I use my own application, bring it to your PC? Is it going to be disruptive? To me, the answer is completely no. That's a no. Last piece of information that we want to discuss right now. So what about the security of that agent? And I know I'm restricted in time, so I'm trying to make it the best I can. So okay, I have those agents running on my workloads, and I'm trying to protect those workloads with my agent. Okay, that's a problem, because if I screw up that agent, what's going to happen? I mean, anybody, a hacker or a good hacker, can take control of that workload and do whatever he wants, right? Are you okay with that?
Or she.
No? Yes?
Or she, yeah.
Okay, very good. So Harish is going to be is going to wear a new hat right now. He's going to be the hacker for today. So only one eye left because we didn't want him to hack everything. But what he is going to do, he's the hacker for the day, and he got root access to the machine. Okay, so technically he has all the control he wants on that workload, which is running whatever critical application. Here we took a core service. Okay, so the first thing that you expect from the hacker when he's going onto the machine with root privilege, he's going to do what kind of job he's going to do? Some recon, some scan, just to verify the environment he lives in. Okay, he's going to do some scan, some recon, but the point is, everything is blocked or filtered somewhere. So that means that, oh, okay, there is a firewall on the workload. I should check whatever rules I have in my firewall. So he's going to check the rules in the firewall, and this is what we display. Okay? Again, that's not something that we're modifying. We're just using the IP table construct along with contract and IP sets. Okay? So what he does is that he wants to launch his recon job or scan the environment. He's going to flush the table. Right? That's the first thing that you would do. I would flush the firewall, make sure that I have a clean environment, and then I can move laterally as PJ described. Okay? He's going to flush the table. What would you expect here? Something's going to happen. No, nothing's going to explode. Again, we said it. Okay? So I'm going to list the firewall again. And so Harish is going to list the firewall again. And if we're checking the rules right now, okay, everything is back online. Okay, so he flushed the firewall, and everything is back online. So I know what you guys are thinking. Okay, sure, you have an agent running on a workload. There's reusing the IP tables. Okay, you're going to push the rules. Completely true. You're right. So as he's getting a little bit nervous because he really wants to take control of all of this, well, what he's going to do in this case is just going to check this agent and try to kill that agent, right? That would be the second thing. But guess what? Meanwhile, he flushed the tables, right? And the worst thing that you could have is that someone is flushing the table and you're not getting notified with that. That was one of the questions, right? So what we'll get in this case, along with repushing the rules into the local firewall, we're going to notify the central brain, the PC, that something happened, right? So you're going to have what we call a Venn firewall tempered event, okay, in the PC. But we also know that you're not staring at the PC screen because you're really fan of Splunk and you're a Splunk architect, and so you want to rely on this. Oh, okay. So it talks to somebody apparently. So you want to rely, for example, on Splunk to get notified that something happened. So you're using the Illumio app for Splunk, looking at your security dashboard. There you go. You have one alert in the security dashboard. You can go into it. And if you are really a seasoned engineer and you want to take the risk or just take the responsibility to say something went really wrong on that workload, I'm going to quarantine it. That's something that you can do from Splunk, the Illumio app for Splunk. Okay? Beautiful. Okay, so now that we have those events into the PC, into Splunk or some other third-party partner, really, Harish is getting nervous about this, and he really wants to get rid of that agent. So what he's going to do, because he understood that this agent is kind of reinforcing the rules in the firewall. So
Oh my God.
So what he's going to do, he's going to list down the different things associated to Illumio,
Blinking glass.
and he's going to try to see if the agent works or at least kill that agent because he doesn't want that agent. It's blocking his attack. So he's going to list down the different processes associated to Illumio. Okay, so we're listing down all the processes, and now he's going to kill that agent, right? So we could script it, of course, and do some magic and automation in the background, but it's not as visual as, really looking at the different processes and the names here. So we're going to do it live, okay? So he's going to kill that. And right after, because he's killing the agent, okay, right after, he's flushing the firewall because he really wants to get rid of this firewall and move laterally to another workload. Okay, so remember, he tried to flush the firewall. Everything came back online because we have that so-called agent running on the workload. Okay, now he's killing the agent and he's flushing the firewall again. So what would you expect from this? Is there any hints or idea what's going to happen? So in this case, when we're really taking care of the agent and taking care of the firewall, can you check if the agent is still running? Because you killed it, so that shouldn't appear anymore. There you go. Now it's back online. So you can imagine that the firewall is now back online as well. So if I'm checking my rules now in the firewall, everything should show up like day one. Boom. Okay? So I flush the firewall. I'm killing the agent and flushing the firewall. And I can get rid of this. Okay. So
What if I block communication?
sorry?
What if I block communication from the PC to the van?
Thanks for introducing the last point. So, that's amazing. Did you have a script or something? Okay, so thank you very much. So the next point is that he is a very proficient hacker. And so at some point, he'll get rid of everything, okay? He'll get full control of the workload. It's going to happen. I mean, it's not a time of, if, it's just a matter of when, okay? So now what's going to happen in this case, he got rid of everything. He has full control of the workload, and everything is under Harish or the hacker control. So now, can you go back to, there you go. So because for this demo, it would take a couple of minutes, and we don't have minutes left, so we had some slides to back this up in case we were running out of time. What's going to happen? We, by default, have a bidirectional whitelist policy model. Okay, so that means that we program inbound ACLs and outbound ACLs on the different workloads. Okay, and the PC is actually receiving information about flows, block traffic, whatever you saw during the demos. Now, if I'm getting that workload compromised, okay, fully compromised, that means that the agent is not even talking and nothing is talking really. The firewall is not even on that workload. Move on. What we're going to do after a couple of minutes, okay, we don't hear anymore from the agent running on the workload. So the PC will decide and use that information to actually reprogram the surrounding workloads to reinforce the policy and block any incoming communication from that compromised workload and block any traffic going to that compromised workload. So that's really the mechanisms that we have. So if you really got rid completely of that agent or firewall or everything on that workload, you have full control, then the PC will going to instruct the surrounding environment to move things and change the policies to block any communication. Okay. So, yes.
So what happens if I have a desired state configuration tool or Active Directory setting that is always out there trying to change the policy? What happens?
So first thing, and I'll let PJ and Matt compliment if I'm not getting this right. So first, we're not using, for example, GPOs and Windows Firewall to push policies. Mm-hmm. So really, the PC is really doing all the heavy lifting to push the policies to the workloads.
Well, I know you're not, but essentially it should probably act like a hacker, right? It wouldn't know the difference. So it knows that there's something out there that's trying to change its state.
Well,
talk about coexistence.
I see.
So we're not actually programming the Windows firewall. We're programming the Windows filtering platform, which actually sits below the Windows firewall. And so if GPO pushes a policy trying to wipe out the Illumio policy, we're actually sitting below that. so that actually wouldn't happen. Windows Firewall has multiple contexts on it. You have the domain joined, I'm in the coffee shop, I'm at home. So we're in the domain joined version of the Windows filtering platform, and we're going to take control and monitor that. If you push a GPO policy like, GPO does a variety of different things. We're really concerned about the filtering capability in the Windows filtering platform, but IP to IP, or process-based communications. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but all right, so that covers Windows. If I'm on Linux and let's say I use Puppet to try to set a desired state that changes IP tables, what happens?
We'll slap. So that was the demo we did earlier. That's no different than the hacker. Okay.
Right, but it's going to keep trying.
And that's fine, and we'll keep reverting, and you'll get getting a bunch of alerts. So that using Puppet is very, very common. We see that in a lot of our customers, and there's a variety of capabilities that we do to sort of solve that problem. So if you want Puppet or something like Calico to run like in your, I don't think we're gonna get enough time. We want to do a bunch of container demos, but I think we're gonna run out of time.
Tell you what, I'll give you 10 more minutes.
Awesome. Actually, you know what we're gonna do?
10 minutes in 1 second, we're done.
So we're going to pull an audible and let them, you guys can decide which type of demo we want to do next. But to answer your question, there's also a capability where we will allow you to choose so let's imagine Puppet says, I'm going to leave everything open to all my subnets. Somebody writes an overly broad policy in your DevOps team. Illumio says, well, really, you want to restrict it down to just these 5 IPs. The way that IP tables works is the most restrictive policy wins. So you can write an overly broad policy with Puppet. We will, and if you want to allow coexistence to happen, we will say, well, actually, Puppet may say that we're at an overly broad policy, but Illumio will say we're going to actually restrict it just down to these 5 hosts, and the most restrictive policy wins in IP tables.
How do I prevent my logs from flooding?
Print your logs from what?
The logs for Illumio, right? Because it's going to keep saying, hey, there's someone trying to do this over and over again.
If I may, Matt, so we have another mode, which is firewall coexistence.
Which I just talked about.
Okay, beautiful.
So in the logging, okay, so the logs, we're going to use the local logging facility on that host. So, and those logs are going to be pushed up once again to Splunk, ArcSight, QRadar, whatever the organization's using. So the idea is not to buffer overflow the host and just, destroy syslog. Those are going to be logged locally, then sent up into your logging infrastructure like Splunk, which I think we actually show firewall tampering and stuff like that in the demo today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So are we done with this demo?
Sorry?
Are we done with this demo?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and...
All right. So I just wanted to wrap this up because you understood that the overall concept is, do we bust the myth or confirm it? So just to wrap this up, host-based solution segmentation, host-based solutions cannot do security segmentation. So we showed you 100 workloads showing up in the PC in a couple of minutes, all paired with the PC, receiving policies, okay? So this one is definitely not true. It's gonna be disruptive to my environment, except my stupid enforce mode just to show you some funny stuff on the screen. That's definitely something that we don't do, and neither our customer do that. So that's definitely something you can definitely consider that disruptive to your environment. It's not true. Inherently insecure, unless you have some further question, we showed you that you could break the firewall, break the agent, and break everything on the workload. In the end, the overall solution will protect your most critical assets. So I think this myth is completely busted for today.
Busted.